Okay, we have one more presentation to do before the Lieutenant Governor shows up. We have another 50-year member among us today. He spoke about that earlier when he was up here. He didn't think anybody knew that, and probably we would not have known that had he not said that to me whenever we was talking about him speaking at the event here today. And he said to me, so should I join that as a 50-year member? This is my 50th year. Marshal Greeson, come up here, please.
Thank you.
You know, I understand keeping secrets is tough. Hiding stuff from somebody that you don't want them to know is hard. Fibbing a little bit is okay at this time. But Jim, I want to tell you how great it is for me to be standing here and be able to honor you with 50 years of service to the state of Indiana. Come to us as a state fire marshal, come to us as a fire chief, and many other positions underneath of that, I'm sure. Let me share a couple of personal notes here. It's been several years ago. Marshal Greeson and I and a group was out in Washington, D.C., and we was in Senator Lugar's office. And it appeared to be Old Home Week when we got in there. I don't know the senator that well. I didn't know really what it's all about. Marshal Greeson says to the senator, "Senator, you was my mayor when I first got hired on the Indianapolis Fire Department." And the story went from there. He was telling his stories, the senator was telling his stories, and the rest of us just sat back and took it all in. It was exciting times. It was interesting. And then we got to, a few years later, we had the opportunity to go to the White House. We went to the White House to have a conversation about a piece of legislation. We met in the old executive office. We was in there doing the business that we was there to do. And all of a sudden, someone come in and said, "Do you guys have a few minutes? You're on the White House grounds." "You bet we have a few minutes." "Where are we going, to the president's office?" I didn't know where we was going. So we was led outside into the grassy area in front of the White House, and there's where we parked for what seemed like forever. And we waited, and we waited. I felt sorry for the photographer, just as I do now, taking picture after picture after, now it wasn't John, it was the White House photographer. It was taking picture after picture. I'm thinking, we haven't changed, our hair hasn't changed, we're still standing in the same spot, the grass is just as green, let's get on with what we're here for. And all of a sudden, come walking down the drive of the White House was who? Vice President Pence. He wanted to meet his folks from Indiana. And again, the first person he walks up to, the first conversation he had, the first thing he shared was, "I hired this guy as our fire marshal when I was a governor." And I was honored to be there. It was great. It was great. This gentleman, he had countless mayors. I don't know who all was mayor in his term of Indianapolis. But I can tell you he's been hired as our state fire marshal, or reappointed as our state fire marshal, for 3 governors, Governor Mitch Daniels, Governor Mike Pence, and now Governor Holcomb. He must be a hell of a fire marshal, doing a great job. But it's really not all about Jim. Jim's had a very, very supportive family behind him, trying to lead him on the way, doing the things he needed to do. And we've shared this with all of you. We would never, none of us would get where we're at today without our support of our family. Would you agree, Jim?
Absolutely. You're right. 100%.
He agrees 100%. And I tell you what, it's probably a good thing that he did agree 100%. Isn't it great when you get the opportunity? I know exactly how you feel, Jim. What a chance. Once in a lifetime. When Jim and I were on the phone here, when Marshal Greeson and I was on texting back and forth on Friday to try to make sure that he was scheduled to come in here and speak to you folks, he sent me this text. I got it. I'll read it if you want me to. But it says, should I participate as a 50-year member? I'm in my 50th year. I did not comment. I didn't say a word because I automatically turned the thinking cap on. Gotcha. 50 years, you bet you we're going to honor you for 50 years. So at this point, I'd like to turn this over to our president, Paul Holcomb.
Well, to say the least, this is a pleasure and a privilege to be able to do this. Marshal Greeson has been an excellent counterpart in the Indiana Fire Service since my tenure started as president. So with that, we've accomplished a lot of things, and I can proudly say between our association and the State Fire Marshal's Office, we have a great working relationship. So with that said, I have a little letter from this gentleman's office right across the way. He unfortunately was unable to attend today, but I'd like to read it on behalf of Governor Holcomb. It says, Jim, I wanted to send my personal congratulations as you are honored for your 50 years of dedicated service to the city of Indianapolis and the state of Indiana. Your professional achievements are surpassed only by your character and extensive involvement in your community. We could not be more proud of our first responders, and for 50 years, you've been a real life hero. Indiana is grateful to have you as our state fire marshal. I am thankful for your continued service to the state of Indiana and know you will continue to stay involved and remain a great ambassador of the Hoosier State. Congratulations on 50 incredible years of service. Sincerely, Eric Holcomb. And with that one of the very few privileges I get as president, or any president gets, is the pleasure of being able to induct people as lifetime honorary members. And at this time, I'd like to do so for James Greeson, Indiana State Fire Marshal, lifetime member of the Indiana Volunteer Firefighters Association.
Thank you.
Wow, my family just got a lot bigger. Wow. Is this your way of killing time?
No, but let me interrupt you for a minute. You got a few more friends that'd like to talk to you before you talk. We didn't stop with just family. We didn't stop with just IVFA. We contacted the Indianapolis Fire Department. We contacted the Professional Firefighters Union president. We contacted the Indiana Fire Chiefs. We got several people here with us today who would like to say a few words. So you gentlemen, come on up.
By way of introduction, my name is Joe Krebsback, and I'm representing Chief Malone here today. Marshal Greeson, as I knew him, at the time I was a young lieutenant down in Fountain Square, captain, and then we worked together in the administrative offices. On behalf of Chief Malone and the entire fire department, we are very happy, very proud of your accomplishments throughout your career, both with the Indianapolis Fire Department and your long tenure with the state of Indiana. You have set a high standard, both in the department and in the Marshal's office. So, Jim, congratulations.
Thank you for letting me give me a few moments, Larry. Jimmy, congratulations, 50 years of service, and congratulations to everybody, the 64 members across the state of Indiana, with 50 years of service, of dedicated service to this state through the fire service. And I'm, as a 38-year veteran, I'm not jealous, but I am proud of your service. I hope not to get to 50, but this is a great day for everybody. But Jimmy, he has had every job on the Indianapolis Fire Department. His first promotion didn't come until 16 years. And the only reason is because Chief Williams, the shift commander at that time, went out and said, Jimmy, oh no, he didn't. He said, Private Greeson, you're going to promotional school. And Jimmy said, yes, sir. And that was the only way, because he liked it on the back step so well. And you don't know it, but Jimmy only, when he was on the street, which was most of his career, he only worked in busy firehouses. And I happened to work with him quite a bit because I was on the same shift. And he was, they called him weed hopper. And he was like, and he was the go-to guy, the scuttle hole guy, and he was out in front. And he worked with a lot of big guys that couldn't fit up there, so they shoved him right up there, and he got in from an early time. And he's a great leader. But I'll tell you about Jimmy. I think he's more proud of his ability as a firefighter, as a line firefighter, making the call, working with people, whether it's EMS, whatever the emergency is, he's proud. And Jimmy, there's always the fire service, who's getting what. But how proud were you when we got a new governor, and both the Fire Chiefs Association, the IBFA, and the state union all said, he's doing a great job, why wouldn't you keep that guy? That's something to say. He builds bridges, finds ways for people to help people. He shows up at your fire department, and some of you guys probably heard him say this, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What kind of resources can I get for you? I can't, and he'll tell you, can't work miracles, but what resources can I get for you? And that's the person he is. And his family. He loves his family. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. He loves his family. One more story. So when I was young, and I was at one time, I was kind of in charge of the Easter egg hunt or the Christmas party. And he always had, his boys were always there. And they were at every event. And as they got older, they would say, Dad, can we go? They're teenagers now. And they says, well, you're too old for the Easter egg hunt. Oh, we want to help. So they inherited that gene from Jimmy, I think, a little bit. Want to be helpful. And he's real proud of his family and his wife and his family. So I'm real proud of you, Jimmy. Congratulations. But congratulations to everybody here for your service and your dedication. And I look up to each and every one of you. So thank you for allowing me a few minutes, and God bless each of you. Congratulations. Larry did a nice job, Jimmy.
I think we have a couple folks from the Indiana Fire Chiefs.
Good morning, my name is Steve Arusa, and I'm representing the Indiana Fire Chiefs, and I'm joined by Dale Henson, Executive Director of the Indiana Fire Chiefs. I kind of feel like a rookie with only 38 years in the fire service. Kind of like Luke Skywalker in the company of a bunch of Yodas. It's kind of cool, making me a little nervous though. But the question remains, how do you thank somebody and people who have dedicated 50 years of their lives, a half a century, no negative impact on your age, boss, but how do you thank them? Well, you can't thank them, but you can tell everyone. You can tell everyone about their leadership by example. You can tell them about leadership not out of self-promotion pride, and not out of self-protection fear, but out of dedication to a cause and relationship. Dedicated to the safety and welfare of firefighters, and dedicated to the safety and welfare of Hoosiers. You can tell them about his example, how he served 3 governors. And his legacy will be not fingerprints on pieces of legislation or all the lives he's touched. His legacy will be preparing us to be the next generation of fire service servant leaders. Since 9/11, a lot of people call firefighters knights. They compared them to medieval times. Well, please join me right now in congratulating and honoring one of our kings, Fire Marshal Jim Greeson. Jim, this certificate represents a lifetime membership in the Indiana Fire Chiefs, and I still can't figure out why you have more hair than I do, but I'm working on it. Thank you very much, Jim.
Closer to the sun. Well, thank you. Wow. Well, thank you, everyone. Whew. You guys really got me. Here. I'm in my 50th year in the fire service, and in about 4 months, we'll be married 50 years. So, and when I talk, and you all earlier talk about how supportive families are, and we couldn't do what we love to do without your support. This lady does absolutely everything in the world in my life, for my life, and for the house and our family and everything. And I know I underappreciate her, but it's day in and day out. She's constantly fixing things, scheduling things, on my ass about things, but in a good way. But I love her to death, and thank you. And so this morning, our youngest son isn't here, Matthew, and I got a text this morning from Matthew, and he says, "Dad, I'm sorry, I can't be there today," and he's working out of town. And I thought, okay. I said, "That's fine, Matt. There's not really anything going on to be here for." And so I sent a text to Jason, our oldest son. I said, "You aren't by chance trying to get downtown or anything for anything, are you?" And he sends back, he says, "No, should I be?" And I says, "No." I said, "Between the traffic and FDIC and the parking and everything," I says, "there's really not anything going on here that's going to last more than 15 minutes. So I said, "Don't worry about it if you were," because I didn't know. So everyone here has taken care of this and gotten everybody here. It's the last time I guess I was this surprised was when our two sons, Jason and Matthew, for our 20th wedding anniversary, arranged for us to be out of town, paid for our hotel, our airline tickets, talked to our bosses and got us off work, and got us out of town so they could have a party. Creative kids. But I am so blessed. I've been so fortunate to have a career that only a few of us really get to experience and enjoy and love. And for me, I am the last person in the world that would ever expect to be standing before you as a state fire marshal. Tom was right. I knew Tom Hannity before he could speak English. But Tom was right. That backstep firefighter, and I have a brick at the Union Hall. It just says Indianapolis is firefighter, and that's a big enough honor for really. These are all honors. I can't express that enough. But just being considered to being a firefighter is about as good as it gets. So thank you all. I mean, I love you all. I love the whole fire service, my family, and everything you do for the citizens of this state and keeping people safe everywhere. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks.
I don't expect a kiss, but a hug is fine. But I think Dale has something he wants to. Oh, no, you don't?
I don't have big dues anymore.
That's right.
He won't get dues anymore.
One of the family members, and you guys figure this out, needs to come up and talk about Dad. Come on up. Talk about Dad. Be careful now. We're
release the hounds here. There's a lot to say.
Remember, we only got half.
Yeah, I'll stick to one point. I think that it's something that everybody here who's had the pleasure of working with my dad will understand, but lead by example is by far the greatest pass that he offered me. I think he exemplifies the definition of lead by example. With that comes his humbleness. But even better is that he's always working to serve at whatever capacity is offered, whatever opportunity that might be. I really think that's enough. There's plenty more. The gentlemen and ladies that have had the pleasure of working with him over the time, I'm sure that they know that and can understand what I'm talking about. That's all I had prepared. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, the photographers have requested some photo ops. They would like.
Can I introduce my grandkids? I'm sorry.
You had your chance. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did fail. I need to introduce my daughter-in-law, Beth Greeson Thompson, from Michigan, and now she's a Hoosier. Cameron is, raise your hand, Cameron. Cameron is our next to the oldest grandson. Our oldest grandson, Peyton, is a freshman at IU right now, so he's probably sleeping in. He's a college kid. But I'm going to brag a little bit as a grandfather. These kids are all wonderful, wonderful grandkids. Not only did they make great grades in school, but they're all athletes to some degree. Cameron is a soccer player, played on the Zionsville soccer team and played for the state championship last fall. He also runs track, holds the 400-meter record at his school. He broke his brother's record, which is pretty cool, but he holds a record there. Delaney and Mitchell are twins, but Delaney plays soccer, plays guitar, writes music. Got a great video of her when she thought she was Hannah Montana. Mitchell swims, he does shot put, and he's also works in thespians at the school with the stage manager. So they're just wonderful kids. I'm glad they're here. Our other son, Matthew, has a young son named Frank who's 13 now. So that's the other grandchild that we're blessed to have such a wonderful family and grandchildren. So thank you. Take it away.
We're going to ask Marshal Greeson and his family to line up right down here on the floor, if you would. Yeah, here.
While I still have this, I want to recognize Cindy Locke and Chris Klaus back there, who work in our office and make our office work. It's not me, it's them. They make it work. So give them a round of applause.